Good afternoon. I call this hearing of the America250PA Infrastructure Improvements and Projects Committee to order. I'm Kristen Phillips-Hill. I serve as the state senator in the 28th District representing Southern York County and the co-chair of this committee. And I have to tell you, I'm really grateful to be here in beautiful Pike County at Silver Birches on Lake Wallenpaupack with you all today. The purpose of today's hearing is to identify infrastructure and projects that not only highlight each region's history and contributions to our shared history up to and including the semi-quincentennial, say that 3 times fast, in 2026. So this committee is tasked with identifying potential infrastructure investments and projects that will showcase Pennsylvania's vital role in the establishment and growth of the United States in the 250 years since our nation's founding in 1776. So the committee was established as the legislative advisory group to support the work on the larger America250PA organization. We are bipartisan, we are bicameral, and our work has been subdivided into 6 regions of Pennsylvania, each of which is represented by 2 members, 1 from each political party of the Pennsylvania House and Senate. So as well as we have members from overall leadership and ex officio members. Before we begin, I really do want to extend our gratitude to Silver Birches Resort for hosting our meeting here today in their starboard room, which overlooks Lake Wallenpaupack. These views are absolutely stunning and beautiful. I would like to have all of my colleagues who are here introduce themselves. If we could start with Representative Adams.
It's great. Well, I'm loud. It's great to be here. This is home for me. This is the 139th District, Wayne and Pike County. Wayne County's on that side of the lake. Pike County's on this side of the lake. And 7 generations of our family has lived here. We've been here since the 1830s. Great place. Thanks for coming to the 139th District. I'm a first-term rep. Mike Pfeiffer had this seat for many years prior to me winning it, and just want to welcome you to our area, and it's great to be part of the 250 America plan, and I really appreciate everybody showing up today to today's meeting. Thank you very much. Pass it on back to Senator Hill.
Thank you very much, Representative Adams.
Aaron Coffer, the 120th District, Northern Luzerne County. Pleasure to be here. Beautiful views. Thank you for picking this area. Whoever was in charge of it, kudos. So.
Indeed.
Hi, everybody. I'm State Rep Betty Day Pashinsky, the 121st District. That's Wilkes-Barre and surrounding areas. It's a privilege to serve on this committee. I mean that most sincerely because of the fact that too often people forget what happened 250 years ago. And as a result, this is a great reminder to pay tribute to all that has transpired to get us to this point. And in 3 years, we're going to celebrate our great nation's 250th birthday. So I look forward to all your testimony today. And I say thank you so much. And I forgot my fishing pole. But we used to fish out there, my dad and I, many years ago. Just a great place. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you very much, Representative Pashinsky. And I have to tell you, Representative Adams, I have these really neat pictures of my parents back in the late 50s, early 60s on beautiful boats out there water skiing on that lake. So I think everybody has a wonderful Poconos, Lake Wallenpaupack story. And with that, I'd like to also welcome Cassandra Coleman, the Executive Director of America250PA, for some brief opening remarks.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you everyone for being here on the panel and here to testify today. I'm Cassandra Coleman. I'm the Executive Director of America250PA, and I've actually held this role for the last 4 years. We're very proud of the foundation that we've built across all 67 counties for the upcoming 250th anniversary. We encourage you to go to our website at America250PA.org. We have over a dozen programs and projects currently ongoing, again, in all 67 counties, and we're now working on what the plans truly will be for 2026. So for today, I just want to talk a few minutes just about the process. So Senator Phillips-Hill and when Representative Solomon joins us, they will introduce each testifier. We ask you to come up to the testifying table, get yourself situated, and then you can begin your testimony. From when you begin your testimony, you have 5 minutes. About 30 seconds remaining, you'll hear one ding. We just ask you to please, finish the thought that you have and complete your testimony at that point. When you've reached your 5 minutes, you'll hear. And then from that point, you have up to 3 minutes of Q&A with the panel if the panel has any additional questions. But we have 12 testifiers today, so we do ask that everybody please keep to your time to be cognizant of everyone's time. With that, I'll turn it back over to Senator Phillips-Hill.
Thank you very much, Cassandra. And we're going to get this party started, get these testifiers rolling. We're very excited to hear about the wonderful potential here in Wayne and Pike counties. And with that, would like to welcome Lori Strelecki.
That's very good.
Was that good?
That's perfect.
We don't have a lot of Polish Americans in my district, so thank you for being here. Well, that would definitely help our culinary offerings, so.
Hello, everybody. Just a little handout.
Thank you.
Dziękuję.
Oh, dziękuję.
Ah.
Okay, so I'm Lori Strelecki. I'm from the Pike County.
If you could. So just so everyone
I have to
knows.
sit here?
Yes, if you could sit and you could use the
And-
microphone and turn it on, because otherwise the live stream, and obviously these are hearings.
Yes.
So,
O.J. Simpson?
Yes. So, yes, if you speak into the microphone, all the folks watching across the Commonwealth and who knows the world,
I'm a guinea pig.
there you go.
Is that good?
is the light
That's
on?
perfect.
Perfect.
Push the button. Just push the button.
How's that?
There you go.
Good.
Yeah.
Is it green? Yes,
Yeah.
you're good.
All right. Okay, so as I said, I'm Lori Strelecki. I represent the Pike County Historical Society and the Columns Museum, located in historic Milford, Pennsylvania. I handed everyone a brochure. Just talk briefly about my proposal, which I submitted, in 20 minutes because I didn't have that much notice, and threw it together. But what I propose to do is something that's going to help the 250th PA campaign and offer everything that the Columns Museum and the Pike County Historical Society has in its archives. And it's a 2-story beautiful building that contains all of Pike County's history. It is the official Historical Society of Pike County. We are home to the Lincoln flag, which is the flag that is stained with Abraham Lincoln's blood. Senator Baker has been there a few times from this area and has spoken there and was very impressed with our Lincoln flag. So certainly Lincoln is something that should be included in the 250th anniversary of our nation. We also have a stagecoach that's from 1850 that's been totally restored. It is roadworthy, and we're happy to offer that up to any place in Pike County or Wayne County that wants to have it to visit, to host an event, or to just have it kind of be like a traveling exhibit leading up to the 250. Like I said, our resources are your resources, and we're here to help. But unfortunately, we don't have a very big budget, so the money that we ask for would go towards the promotion of what we have to offer to the 250, maybe a traveling exhibit of the Lincoln flag. It could tour the county, it could tour the United States. There's no limits to what it can do. And again, our archives and people, they go through Pike County's history. It's a who's who. If you look on the inside of the pamphlet, there's just a few examples. And in following the little program that I looked at in your pamphlet, I think that we could offer the little vignettes like you're doing currently on your website, where you talk about little pieces of history, bits and pieces. We would have no problem putting that together about the different people, places, and things and events that have made up Pike County's history and lead up to the 250 with these little presentations. Not a lot of people like to come to museums, young people anymore. So the way to get them, of course, is through social media and through these videos, right? So that would be something. There's really not a lot of limits to what we could do with your help. And if there's anything that the museum has that you feel would be a good part of the celebration, please let us know, and we'll do everything I can to make it available.
Thank you very much. Members, questions? Representative Paszynski.
Well, thank you very much for all your good work. This is super. If you're going to get the $250,000.
I didn't ask for $250,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I saw that. The 50,000. How would you spend it?
Well, a lot of it would go, like I said, most of our money that we raise, because we have this beautiful building, goes into the maintenance of the building. We don't have a lot of money to spend on, punching up our exhibits or promotion and things like that. So it would all go towards that, like building up the anticipation of this big event that's coming up and what Pike County has to offer. So by, making that more known, building up the enthusiasm and, using it towards that, maybe the production of a few of these newer exhibits or even a traveling exhibit, or if we had to transport the Hiawatha anywhere, it costs money to take it from point A to point B. It's a beautiful 1850 restored stagecoach and something that I think would add to any event at any place. It's something people want to see. So that would cost money too. So basically I'm asking for money to help us, to help you, to get things out there and celebrate the history of Pike County the way it should be.
Well, I just want to commend you for doing this because, again, as I said earlier, too many people forget about the history. And, the restoration of that wagon would be a great reminder, what it was like and an opportunity to then reteach various facts and so on.
And it's important because it traveled through both counties. It was very active in its early days up through along the Delaware and Hudson Canal, which is a very important part of both counties' history. You'll hear from Wayne County shortly. And we're connected. And the more things that we could figure out and do that help each other is better. So if the Hiawatha could be part of that, bring it to Wayne County, show its original route, where it traveled. And we have pictures of what it looked like before we restored it, so that would add to that. There you go. We need money to make that exhibit, just saying.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Are there any further questions from members? Mr. Leckie, thank you very, very much for your testimony
Thank
here
you all,
today.
esteemed panel members. And good luck to everybody else.
Our next testifier will be Jay McElmoyle, who is chairman of the Asa Packer Museum, or Mansion, Asa Packer Mansion.
Do you have your budget?
I do.
Yeah, if you could pass those down, please. Thank you so much.
I also have a couple of pictures here. If anyone
Sure.
They're-
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll just get them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, we'll handle that, don't worry.
You may proceed when you are ready.
Here is a rendering of the Asa Packer Mansion. Good afternoon. My name is Jay McElmoyle. I'm the current chairman of the Asa Packer Mansion through the Jim Thorpe Lions Club. My wife and I started our involvement with the Lions because we love assisting others and creating positive change for the world around us. Born and raised in Jim Thorpe, we both have a love for our community and its history. With pride, I hold the title of an electrician for the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and my job responsibilities include maintenance, repair, and installation across all facilities covering the Northeast Extension. Some of you may be familiar with the Asa Packer Mansion. If you are not, it's an 11,000 square foot, 18-room villa that's nestled upon a hillside in Jim Thorpe, Carp County. The mansion took 2 years to construct and was finished in 1861. Asa Packer and his wife Sarah called this place home. Asa, a self-made philanthropist, passed away in 1879. At this time, their youngest daughter, Mary Packer, moved into the home to care for her aging mother until her death in 1882. 2 years later, Mary, the only surviving child of 7, inherited the family fortune, making her the wealthiest female in the United States and second wealthiest in the world next to Queen Victoria. Mary resided in the home until her passing in 1912, when she willed the home and all of its contents to the borough of Jim Thorpe as a memorial for her father and all of his accomplishments. Some of her father's accomplishments included construction of Lehigh Valley Railroad, founding of Lehigh University, and largely assisting in the building and success of St. Luke's Hospital. At the time the mansion was being willed to the borough of Jim Thorpe, the borough was unsure what to do with the mansion, so it sat vacant and boarded up for over 40 years. In 1954, the Jim Thorpe Lions Club petitioned the borough to become caretakers of the mansion and provide tours to the public. After approval from the borough, the Lions spent 2 years preparing the mansion, and it was a miracle that all the contents in the house remained unharmed. Nearly everything in the home is still original to this day. The Jim Thorpe Lions Club opened the doors to the mansion Memorial Day of 1956, and it has been open to the public ever since. Every tour at the mansion is like stepping into a time capsule. Everything is original to the home, as if the Packers were still there today. All the tours are guided, and their personal experiences just short of an hour and typically consist of 20 visitors or less at a time. Tours are provided by trained staff and range between $9 and $12, and we try to keep the price as low as possible so most everyone can enjoy this experience. In 1984, the mansion was designated as a National Historic Landmark, showing its historical significance to the heritage of the United States. Preservation of a home this large requires a lot of maintenance and upkeep. In doing so, to keep the status of National Historic Landmark, projects are more costly compared to typical restorations. Thankfully, we did receive 2 LSA grants this year, but they will only cover a portion of the repairs needed for this home. In the grant application I submitted, I'm requesting the funding to repair and replace most of the home's electrical system and equipment. As an electrician for the Pennsylvania Turnpike myself, I know the importance of this topic. Most everyone knows when they flip on a light switch, the light comes on, but few people are aware of the miles of conductors carefully threaded through a place like the Ace Packer Mansion. Electrical repair and replacement is often overlooked until it's too late or only done after it poses a problem. The 3 main floors of the home have original wiring that dates back to the 1890s, except a few outlets that were wired to handle the draw of modern day appliances. In the ultimate goal to preserve this landmark for many generations to experience, I fear the likelihood of a system failure that could become catastrophic. The lighting of this home is a marvelous sight to see, and you can see with some of these pictures in front of you. There's many handmade fixtures and chandeliers that are one of a kind. One chandelier sparkles with over 800 crystals and was even replicated for the movie Gone with the Wind. Almost all the lighting in the home was originally lit by gas and then retrofitted at the turn of the century to accept both electricity and gas. The mansion interior is dimly lit with over 350 low wattage light bulbs in an attempt to sustain the current wiring of the home. The electrical grid of the home consists of many switches, outlets, and fixtures. The ideal solution for the mansion would be to preserve and keep as much equipment original as possible, properly rewire all lighting fixtures, and conceal new circuits without damage to any of the finished surfaces. If this is a project that is selected, the funds will be put to good use, and the end result would ensure a much safer facility to be enjoyed by future generations in the heart of Carbon County. Thank you for time and consideration of this project to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from members? Representative Coffer.
So you focused on the lighting here. I see the estimate you gave, and I think you're scheduled here as a level 1, which is up to 250,000, and you have an estimate here of 762,000.
That is a complete overview
Of what you're looking to do overall.
the need, yes.
Okay.
And
So your focus is on those electrical upgrades. That's that 110,000
Yes.
is what you're looking at. Okay. Thank you.
Cassandra Coleman.
How many visitors do you see every year that come through?
on average, between 14,000 a year.
Okay. And how about, do you keep track of where they come from? Are they,
We just started recently in
Okay.
the guest book, and it's
I was just
awesome.
curious.
At the end of the day, looking through,
Yeah.
and they're coming from all over the world.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Any further questions from members?
Good job.
Jay, thank you
for
so
your
much,
time.
and thank you for your work on the Turnpike. And as a Lion, the Lions, we have learned, do many good things all across this Commonwealth. Thank you for your service.
Few people could say they love what they do, and I'm one of them.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Do you want to grab these pictures too?
Would anyone want these?
Oh, I can put them in the file if you'd like me to. Would it be
Yeah.
okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Our next testifier is Craig Lukács. I'm on a roll here today, with the Lackawanna Sanctuary Foundation. Craig, please begin your testimony when you're ready.
Senator Phillips-Hill, members of the Infrastructure Improvements and Project Committee, I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. My name is Craig Lukács. I'm currently the president of Lackawanna Sanctuary Foundation. Lackawanna Sanctuary is a nonprofit 501c3 nature preserve, biological field station, environmental education center located here in the northern Pocono region of Pennsylvania. Lackawanna offers opportunities to conduct environmental research, participate in education programs, and connect all ages to the natural world and our Pennsylvania heritage. Lackawanna's geographical service area includes the following counties: Lackawanna, Luzerne, Pike, and Wayne. This afternoon, I want to briefly discuss Lackawanna Sanctuary's proposal and plans for the development of a lodging facility at our 550-acre property in Wayne County. This project will afford opportunities for Pennsylvanians to connect with our natural and historical heritage. First, allow me to provide a historical perspective. Lackawanna Sanctuary Foundation has a long history that reaches back to the colonial times. William Connell, a self-made businessman who worked in the coal fields early in his life and served in the U.S. House of Representatives, bought the property for a summer estate called Connell Park, which he constructed in 1903. This estate is considered the first summer home in the Wallenpaupack region. Colonel Lewis A. Watrous, a lawyer and businessman in Scranton, is the next important figure in the history of the sanctuary. Another self-made man, Watrous was active in politics, rising to become lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. He became involved with Lackawanna through the development of the Wallenpaupack Power Project, which later became Lake Wallenpaupack. Watrous purchased the former Connell Park after the death of William Connell. Then in 1948, Arthur Watrous, grandson of Colonel Watrous, and his mother Rayburn Watrous, Mrs. Rayburn Watrous, moved to Lackawanna. Through connections to prominent conservationists and academics, Arthur helped identify Lackawanna as the southernmost unpolluted glacial lake in the United States, an invaluable resource to both conservationists and research scientists. Recognizing that it deserved a long-term protection in 1966, which the donation of 341 acres and several historic buildings, the Watrous formed the Lackawanna Sanctuary Foundation to administer and steward the wonderful resource that is the sanctuary. Subsequently, in 1968, Lake Lackawanna was designated as a National Natural Landmark, and in 1979, the property was listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. As you can see, Lackawanna is historically significant. Currently, the Watrous Lodge, which is referred to today, and the neighboring Ice House Cottage are the only residential facilities at Lackawanna for visitors. These historic structures can accommodate up to 30 individuals. In 2009, as master site plan was recommended that Lackawanna upgrade the existing lodge to be used for contract occasions such as special events and construct additional dorm-like facilities for visitors. In January 2022, Lackawanna's Board of Trustees approved a strategic plan which listed increasing the capacity for housing individuals visiting Lackawanna as a top priority. The conceptual drawings and plans for additional lodging include 3 sleeping cabins with a bathroom facility in each and a 4th unit for kitchen and common living spaces. These units will accommodate between 6 to 10 individuals. The 4 units will be east of Lackawanna's Environmental Education Center and will be prefabricated to limit disturbance of land. The overall proposed cost of the project is $569,000, and our goal is to have the cabins completed by the end of 2025. There is currently $280,000 pending in matching funds for the project. I believe our lodging proposal is a legacy project because it builds on the history of Pennsylvania and prepares a stronger foundation for the future of this region, giving all Pennsylvanians the opportunity to connect with nature and our natural and historical heritage. Wayne and Pike counties possess major recreational attractions such as Lake Wallenpaupack, the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River, and state parks. These resources are responsible for attracting an estimated $165 million annually in travel expenses and $65 million per year of wages to the area. In 2022, Lackawanna recorded a record 14,000 visitors. In sum, the development of a new lodging facility at Lackawanna will boost tourism in Wayne County and increase the quality of life by providing more recreational opportunities. Thank you to the members of the Infrastructure Improvements and Projects Committee. Your consideration of Lackawanna's project as we approach the United States 250th anniversary is very much appreciated and definitely will make 2026 epic.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, questions? Representative Coffer.
Thank you for your testimony. So I see you have $280,000 in matching funds. Is that other grants or is that money raised through the foundation? Where does that money come from?
Sure.
And is that 569, is that minus the 280 or 569 above the 280 that's already raised?
No, it's 569 total, so the 280 would be, so we would be asking for about 250 to 300,000. Not all the money for the 280 is confirmed. It's pending grants, some with state, DCNR, and then also some private foundations that have committed to some funds.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Any further questions from members? Director Coleman.
Thanks, Craig. So you say currently you have capacity for 30 individuals. What would your capacity become should you do this project?
Sure. So with the 30, we'll add another additional 30 to 40 beds as well too. So it will allow us to increase capacity for retreats and groups visiting the sanctuary.
Thank you.
How many students do you typically serve in a year?
For field trips alone, we do about 3,000 to 4,000 students in a given year, and then we have summer camps as well too. So that's another couple hundred students as well.
And the area that you draw from when folks attend, obviously students, I would imagine, are more local, but those retreats and summer camps and educational programs, where are you drawing from?
We bring them from all over the state. I mean, Drexel University uses our facility for summer camps, and we bring people from mostly also from other states as well too, but mostly, a lot of the groups we work with come from the Philadelphia area and southeastern Pennsylvania as well too.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Craig does
Representative Adams.
Craig does a great job. I was superintendent of Western Wayne, and it's in the Western Wayne School District and Walpolpack. I think it's both townships. This property is right on the very southern end of the lake on the Wayne County side, and the partnerships with the schools is very impressive, Craig, so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for your testimony here today. Our next testifier today is Carol Dunn. She is the Executive Director of the Wayne County Historical Society.
Vicki, can you put that board? You want to put that board on the chair? Someone? There you go. Turn it. I'm not big enough. Not a good big enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't think it's gonna stand. Just, okay. I need an assistant. Promise it's not gonna fall over. On the chair. How's that? We tried it. It's fine. That's the best bet.
Carol, you may begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Carol Dunn. It's a pleasure to be here today and to present so close to home, which is only about 10 miles away from here. My project that I would like to speak about is for the restoration of the Daniels Farmhouse and the reconstruction of a barn at what is called Lock 31. Some of the pictures on the display will help to explain what it is that we're talking about. The Wayne County Historical Society was organized in 1917, and we have a strong record of completing big projects and getting them done on time. We are governed by a board of trustees. We have a constitution and bylaws and a strong ethics statement. And our mission statement in summary is to preserve and educate. And that's what we do every single day of the year. Specifically for this project, we would like funds to complete the interior of what we call the Daniels Farmhouse. Daniels Farmhouse was built about 1820. It is one of the oldest buildings in Wayne County that is still standing. We have an historic structure report and a plan that was written in 2005 by John Bowie, historic architect. And that restoration would just continue. We have not had the funding, although we continue to seek it. We've not had the funding to complete the interior restoration. During the pandemic, everything at Lock 31 really expanded in use. We have 17 acres with 2.5 acres of trails there. It continues to be a site where walking, fishing, and outdoor enjoyment can take place. And finishing the interior of the farmhouse, for which we received a certificate of occupancy last year. We were really proud about that. We can actually go inside with groups now, okay? It would just make everything so much better. The budget for the completion of the interior and exterior of the farmhouse would be, as we see, a total of $50,500. That would include many of the features that are no longer here, but that existed in the original 1820 structure, such as replacing all the original woodwork throughout the building, to paint the exterior of it so that it was in its original colors, fabricate and install window shutters, replace 15 windows so that they would look like they do on the bottom floor now. That would be 6 over 6, which 6 panes over 6 panes, which is architecturally correct. Now, we'd also like to add to this project a second, much larger project, which would be the construction, or perhaps I should say reconstruction, of a barn at our site. We have the foundation, but at this point there's no building sitting on the foundation. We have the architectural plans, and we seek the money to turn this into a barn that would hold museum display places, a small apartment on the second floor for a caretaker, 2 public flushable toilets. Right now we have a very humble outhouse at the site, which none of us would really want to use. Also a septic field, and the barn would allow us to interpret agricultural history at this site in a much better fashion. We have listed all the different items that we would need in order to construct the barn, which comes to a total of $250,000. So our entire budget for the 2 projects would be $300,500, and it certainly would give people from a large visitation base, people who come to Lake Wallenpaupack do enjoy Lock 31. The local folks who live in this area enjoy Lock 31. We're really good at giving tours and at having coach buses stop. We also have, for example, 200 kids from Wallenpaupack Area School District in one day at our park. We will do anything to continue our mission, and that is educate and preserve. And these 2 things would really help us do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Ms. Dunn. Questions from members? Representative Paszynski.
Thank you very much for all your good work. In order to keep this going, you have fundraisers?
We do. We have constant fundraisers,
And
yes.
may I ask you what kind of dollars you're able to ascertain from those?
We have a budget of about $125,000 a year, and through fundraising, we raise about $60,000 of that a year.
Okay. Because I noticed you had 500 members
That's
from
correct.
all over the world,
That's correct, yes.
which
And
is very interesting.
we also have actively continued to think of new ways to raise money. That's like my job, raise money, you know?
You're not alone. Do you have any personal benefactors by any chance?
Well, we do among our members. We have people who will give us very graciously extra money when we ask.
Okay.
So we do, and we also are pretty good at getting grants, and if we speak to our membership, we will be able to come up with some extra money to help with this. Something that we're really eager to start.
Sure. Do you charge for any kind of services that you provide at the facility?
We don't charge at this facility. We have 5 other places that we interpret history in the county. And our main museum in Honesdale, we do charge admission for anyone older than the age of 18.
Okay.
And of course, we have fundraising events, dinners and things like that, where we do charge money often.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative Paszynski. Any further questions from members? Ms. Dunn, thank you very much for your testimony today. Our next testifier today is Brent Green. He's the Township Manager in East Allen Township. Mr. Green, you can proceed with your testimony when you get set up and are ready.
I'd like to thank the committee today for this opportunity. I'd like to thank Senator Phillips-Hill for running this committee and the other members that are not present today for your dedication to working on celebrating our country's 250th anniversary. My name is Brent Green. I'm the Township Manager for East Allen Township. East Allen Township is located in Northampton County. We are located in the Lehigh Valley region of this state, of this Area 5 project. The Lehigh Valley area is home to over 500,000 residents as a metropolitan area. We have a strong and vibrant history as a community that goes back to the mid-1700s, prior to the actual foundation of the country. So East Allen Township was settled in the mid-1700s by some Scotch-Irish settlers. We were home to Northampton County's Horner Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in the country. It's about a mile from our project site. That first burial occurred in 1747, and it's the final resting place for several Revolutionary War soldiers. Additionally, we are home to the cement belt of the state. We're on the Jacobsburg Formation, so a lot of Portland cement came out of our region and contributed to projects such as the Empire State Building, the Holland Tunnel. We actually have a museum in Northampton, which is 5 miles away, that is honoring that legacy. In 1785, General Robert Brown, who was an aide to President Washington, was one of the first senators to represent Northampton County, planted a seed in East Allen Township. It was a horse chestnut tree, which became known as the Friendship Tree. It was one of only a handful that actually were planted across the colonies at that time. And sadly, in 1953, that tree toppled with a snowstorm, but we have been fortunate that we've planted a replica tree in our park to honor the legacy, and we actually, our township seal, as you can probably see on my testimony, that our logo, we have the Friendship Tree as our seal. Our township has been fortunate with dedicated volunteers and a vision to go out and have legacy projects in our rich history to supplement that. There's no better example of that of our 110-acre park, Bicentennial Park. In the 1970s, our residents came together and our township supervisor saw an opportunity to create the first regional park for the township, which was Bicentennial Park, which was dedicated on June 6, 1976, as part of the dedication of the country in celebration of our 250th year. So Bicentennial Park today is comprised of over 8 baseball fields. We have 4 basketball courts, 2 tennis courts, several pavilions. We actually have 2 playgrounds that are over 25 years old, and we also have a historical 1700s farmhouse that we're looking at preserving with our committee. What our request is we're looking at a $1.75 million for an inclusive ADA playground for all users for our region, for Pennsylvanians. This project not only benefits the township but others. This size project is typically common with cities. The only places that I'm aware of this is in the city of Allentown with Cedar Beach. We have one in Warrington Township, Lions Pride Park, and most recently Wilkes-Barre completed a project of this nature. So what we're looking at is doing some accessibility improvements to the original Bicentennial Park, and we plan on supplementing that with a dedication and several ceremonies as part of that. Our goal is to attract other people. We are in proximity to the Norbath Regional Trail and also the DNL Heritage Trail. So we can connect to a large part of the Commonwealth through those sources. We've actually made an investment of over $100,000 this year in field improvements. We are looking at investing another $200,000 in a pavilion, and we have a $500,000 stormwater project that we're working on. So we've been committed to improving our park and making it a beautiful place for those of all abilities. We host several large tournaments. We have several community events. We have hundreds of participants in our sports programs, and we welcome thousands of visitors annually to our park. There's no doubt in my mind that this project is similar to the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come, and it'll allow access to those of all ages, disabilities that typically do not have. And my final point that I wish to impress upon you is that a Greek proverb, a society grows great when old men plant trees where shade they will never sit. You have an opportunity with funding our project to really go out and make a difference and plant our generation's today's friendship tree and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the greatest country in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. Members, questions? Representative Coffer.
Just a quick question. What would be the time frame for completing this project? What would be the estimate?
So typically, these types of projects are about a year. So we actually want to have some buy-in with the community. So we're looking at, if funded, depending on when awarded, it takes 6 months to plan, get the community buy-in, order the equipment, another year for construction and bidding. But we definitely anticipate this being done for 2026 and supplementing it with programs for the township. I actually have, in 1776, this was the program that we did at that time when we dedicated the park, and it's the historical background. So we're looking at really getting involved and using this project as an impetus.
Do you have the engineering done already for this?
We do not. We don't feel it's actually going to require a significant amount of engineering other than bid specifications. So most of the playground manufacturers that we have are able to provide ADA accessible equipment. It's just a matter of going out and looking at some custom things that you can see in exhibits, which I'll leave here today.
Thank you.
Any further questions from members? Is this project scalable? And are
Yes.
you seeking to find other sources, do some capital campaigns and fundraising in addition to what you're asking for today?
So we are looking at for community involvement. We're not necessarily looking for this project. If we don't get enough funding for it, we're not going to cancel the project. We'll reduce the size. We feel we have a generous budget, and there's things that we don't have to include that we can scale as we progress as a community. We do have a significant amount of money in developer recreation contributions, and we have some development going on right now where we anticipate another $500,000 potentially coming into the township. So on that aspect, we are scalable. We do not want to proceed with grant funding because of the strings that come with that and delaying this project. But we feel it can be scaled to a size that it's doable for our community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. Appreciate your testimony today. I'd like to note for the record that my good friend and fellow co-chair, Representative Solomon, has joined us. Would you care to offer a few remarks?
Thanks, everybody. I'm Jared Solomon. I'm from Northeast Philadelphia in the 202nd Legislative District. It's great to be here. If we could just have someone summarize all the testimony before we move forward, that would be ideal. Thank you, Senator.
We've got you covered.
That comes afterwards.
Well,
And that's why we record these. Okay.
Our next testifier today is Lorianne Wukich. And she is the president and CEO of Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites. Please begin your testimony when you are ready.
Good afternoon. I'm Lorianne Wilkich, the president of Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites. Our nonprofit organization cares for 20 historic buildings, 20 acres of land in historic Bethlehem. Two of the historic sites are National Historic Landmarks, the 1741 Gemein House, the oldest building in Bethlehem, and the 1762 Waterworks, a civil engineering landmark, an American water landmark, and the first pumped municipal water system in America. The 1761 Tannery is the only 1700s Moravian industrial building in existence in the world. Historic Bethlehem is the 8th landmark district in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and all of our buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places. On February 1st, 2023, the U.S. Department of Interior announced that the Moravian Church settlements Bethlehem, along with Herrenhut in Germany and Grace Hill in Northern Ireland, 2 other Moravian communities, was submitted for our country's first transnational serial nomination to the World Heritage List. This endeavor has been a 20-plus year journey by bringing together key historic Moravian settlements around the world. We hope our nomination will be the 3rd World Heritage inscription for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, joining Independence Hall in Philadelphia and Falling Water in Mill Run. Our legacy project is requesting support for illuminating our colonial industrial history, which showcases America's earliest industrial park, established with 35 trades and crafts by the Moravians, located on the confluence of the Monocacy Creek and the Lehigh River. Currently, the historic site needs improved pedestrian pathways, lighting, and signage that will effectively connect our top 10 Main Street to this important historic site. The Moravians understood the challenging topography of the region and used it to their advantage, but it makes the visitor experience more challenging today. The project will ensure that visitors do not bypass this key historic site, which demonstrates the engineering ingenuity of the town's settlers. The Moravians, members of the oldest Protestant denomination, were pacifists. However, were actively involved in supporting the Revolutionary War by doubling their output of hides for shoes, saddles, belts, and leather pieces for tools and machinery. They repaired guns, shoed horses, and provided flour and nourishment for the Revolutionary War troops stationed in the area. The Moravians cared for the wounded soldiers in the Single Brethren's house at 2 different times throughout the war. As Bethlehem transformed into a hospital, the town was visited by notable travelers such as Sam and John Adams, John Hancock, and one notable visitor would arrive as a patient, the Marquis de Lafayette, after sustaining a leg injury at the Battle of Brandywine. 500 soldiers are buried on the hillside overlooking the Monocacy Creek across from the colonial industrial quarter. The Moravians managed the industries through the 1800s, and by the 1950s, the colonial industrial quarter became the community junkyard, as you can see by a picture in your package. Through the support of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the City of Bethlehem, and HBMS, my organization began the restoration of this historic place. We are currently in the process of restoring the 1782 Grist Miller's house, a building that has been propped up with a steel beam for over 2 decades. Our plan is to reopen the restored building, including a modern glass and deck overlook on history, to provide visitors the ability to experience the early colonial trades and crafts and provide a gateway to the colonial industrial quarter. Illuminating our colonial industrial history requests for support will fund the final component of preservation for this site and will create a striking entrance to the historic district from the Hill to Hill Bridge and the Broad Street bridges. We believe the project will increase the experience and highlight not only Bethlehem's history, but the country's history. And economic impact studies indicate that World Heritage Sites create an increase in regional, national, and international visitors. As Pennsylvania is leading this charge, HBMS wants to continue to be a leader in attracting visitors year-round by sharing our Moravian history. Thank you for your support and your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Members, questions? Representative Solomon.
Thank you, Senator. The World Heritage piece of this is very intriguing. So I don't know if everyone knows, but can you talk more about World Heritage Sites and how important it is for it to get that designation?
It is because what requires you to get a nomination on the World Heritage List is outstanding global universal value. And that means something that's going to be sustained for generations to come. And it's not only outstanding universal value within the United States, but throughout the world. And we're fortunate to be partnering with two other Moravian communities in Herrenhut in Germany and Grace Hill in Northern Ireland to put forth this first transnational serial nomination. We know from studies of other World Heritage Sites in the United States, we bring more travelers, they spend more money, and they stay a longer period of time.
When will you get whether you get the yes or no on that?
Well, we have a few steps to go at this point, and if everything is approved, we've submitted our dossier, and the international assessors from ECOMOS find that what's in the dossier is what's represented in these, beautiful historic buildings. That nomination could happen as soon as 2024, 2025.
Do you know, is there a plan to link up the national and international World Heritage Sites by 2026 to provide sort of a great travel experience for folks?
Well, one of the things that Historic Bethel Museums and Sites is doing is speaking with Global City Philadelphia and trying to figure out, can we create a heritage triangle, whether it be with Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Falling Water in Mill Run, or the Statue of Liberty in New York. I mean, it really is a more true triangle when you connect the Statue of Liberty, Historic Bethel Museums and Sites, and Independence Hall. But I think, clearly it's going to rely on our inscription to become a World Heritage Site. And we're 50 miles from Philadelphia, so it's very clearly going to be an easy touch point. When I traveled to Italy, I was there for 7 days and saw 8 World Heritage Sites. So I think that it really is an opportunity for heritage tourism at its best for the state and for our country.
Last one. Are there resources attached to once you get the designation?
There, as I'm understanding, and our organization is understanding, there's not specific funding that comes about from being a World Heritage Site. However, I think you have the opportunity to apply for more state and federal funding. As I mentioned, we're going to be restoring the Gristmiller's house. We have an RACP grant. We have matching funds for that at present. And we have received a Save America's Treasures grant to bolster in the package here the stone area and the 1761 tannery.
Thank you so much.
Further questions from members? Representative Paszynski.
Thank you once again for all your great work. Did you identify how many visitors you do get to your facilities?
We have over 60,000 visitors that visit our 20 historic sites, and that does not include the largest music festival, free music festival in the country, which is Music Fest and Celtic Classic.
Excellent. And do you have a dollar amount? Has that been estimated as
Yes,
to the
we have
economic?
a budget for $365,000 for illumination, signage, and increased pathway, and building a set of staircase from the main street to go in front of the smithy, which is here on your left, into the colonial industrial quarter.
I'm sorry, I didn't make the question clear. It was from all the visitors. Has there been an estimate of the dollars that have been brought into the area?
We've estimated over $1 million, but I think that's very conservative. We have done an economic impact study. We do not have the results that we're able to share at this point, but that's usually one of the steps that goes with becoming a World Heritage Site.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I'm from York. The Marquis de Lafayette spent time in York. He really got around Pennsylvania. It's quite a distance, especially back in the day, to make it from York to Bethlehem. I know he spent some time in Philadelphia as well. So thank you for that very fascinating tidbit of history, along with the exceptional work that you have done. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, we have the Executive Director of the Lackawanna Historical Society, Mary Ann, can you do the last name?
Savakinis.
Let's all say it together.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Savakinis.
Savakinis.
Yep.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Savakinis, please begin your testimony as soon as you are ready.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me this time. My name is Mary Ann Moran Savakinis, and I am the director of the Lackawanna Historical Society. The Lackawanna Historical Society is in a unique position when it comes to telling the story of our past. As a historical society of Pennsylvania's youngest county, we offer the public an opportunity to explore our history from a perspective of individuals who chose to establish a new county in 1878, just 100 years after the founding of America. These individuals were community leaders who, in 1886, just 8 years after Lackawanna County was incorporated, also decided that an institution should be created to cultivate, preserve, and interpret our county's history. In its first 56 years, our society grew its membership to more than 500 members, built a substantial collection of books, photographs, maps, artifacts, all that documented the local history, covering a period that reflects how the United States developed since its founding. These collections were maintained and shared through exhibitions and meetings at public spaces throughout the city of Scranton and Lackawanna County, but as our organization grew, the need for a permanent headquarters became more obvious. In 1942, through the generosity of a Scranton banker named George Catlin, the society moved into its new home, his 1912 residence that was designed by a prominent Scranton architect named Edward Langley. Its 5,200 square footage with 600 rooms was ideal for housing the society's growing collections. And for the next 80 years, we have used the building as a museum, library, and presentation space, and served more than 4,000 in-person visitors annually. And in recent years have also worked to expand our footprint through social media and virtual programming. Last year, we received an Award of Excellence for Leadership in History from the American Association of State and Local History, and were recipients of a Special Achievement Award from Pennsylvania Museums this past April, all for the work that we did during the COVID-19 shutdown that we called Beyond Our Doorsteps, which was our effort to engage our members and the community at large through Zoom, creating more than 80 YouTube videos to reach more than 20,000 people. With these successes that have strengthened our organization and allowed us to continue to serve our community from our humble home in Scranton, we are now looking forward to continue that. I also want to mention that Our building, the Catlin House, is also the meeting space for the Daughters of the American Revolution Scranton chapter, and they've been meeting there for almost 50 years. So the house is home not just to Lackawanna Historical Society, but the Daughters of the American Revolution. And the home is the focus of our project. As stated in the application, the care and maintenance of the Catlin House is a high priority for the society. We are committed to maintaining it as our permanent headquarters and have completed work in the past to restore the exterior, including major roof repairs in the late 1990s and an upgraded HVAC and electrical system in 2013. All to ensure for the continued preservation and use of our home. In the last few years, we have been struggling with water incursion at the building's foundation, and there are some photos showing some of the damage, and the ongoing deterioration of our current accessible lamp. Last year, our Building and Grounds Committee worked with CPI Civil and Structural Engineering firm to develop a scope of work, which I have given everyone a copy of, and a cost proposal, and we're now shovel ready and beginning to look at the project in detail. The project, just to break it down for you, has two parts: providing a perimeter drainage for the parking area and the roof away from the house into existing catch basins on the property, and the rebuilding of the aging and failing handicap accessible ramp to provide better access. In terms of drainage, approximately 10,000 square feet of the roof drains into 12 roof leaders positioned around the house. Originally, these connected to French drains that carry the water away from the basement walls, but that system deteriorated and has been made discontinuous with modern site developments. In addition, our parking areas surrounding the house has added to the site's impermeability, worsening groundwater conditions. As storms have become more frequent and severe, water penetration at the basement has become greater and a more likely concern. In addition, we have discovered the driveway and unpaved parking area is also sloped in the wrong direction. To do this project, we're going to have to dig up the entire parking lot and perimeter of the house, which includes the current deteriorating ramp, so we can fix the ramp at the same time, which is the second part of our project. Take the wood away and replace it with a concrete ramp. By doing these things, we will ensure the integrity of our home and continue to inspire our community to explore local history.
Thank you very much for the testimony. Members for questions.
Thinking of so many things.
Representative Paszynski.
No, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony again. And I also want to congratulate you and pay respect for the fact that you have some great promotional material as well.
Thank you.
Which is highlighting all the important history of this incredible building. And it sounds like you've got things down to pretty much the dollar amount that you're going to need. It seemed as though, is that the total cost of $139?
Yes, it is.
Okay. It sounded like it was going to be more than that. But, okay. Just thank you very much for all your good work there.
Thank you.
Any further questions from members? I want to thank you for a very comprehensive presentation and all of these resource materials. It's very helpful.
I can leave the pictures for the file?
Yes, thank you.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Our next testifiers today are Bonnie Yuskavage, Curator, and Brian Leone, Susquehanna County Historical Society.
Can we wait for a song we like, or?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
While we're settling in, a beautiful adult bald eagle has been flying over the lake just now. It's been gorgeous, lovely.
You may begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you. Members of the committee, staff, and guests, Thank you for allowing me to testify today on behalf of the Susquehanna County Historical Society and Free Library Association. That's the full organization, and specifically on behalf of the Historical Society to share our proposal to the committee to support the rehabilitation of the Society's original historic wood sash windows. We're seeking your support in this effort so that we can continue our 133-year history of preserving, interpreting, and sharing our legacy, the thousands of important heritage assets in our collection for the benefit of our 38,000 county residents, the Commonwealth, and the entire Northeast District. The Susquehanna County Historical Society was created in 1890 to preserve the knowledge of the county's people and culture. Today, we're a unique rural museum and a repository for irreplaceable genealogical and historic resources. We protect the legacy of our past for the benefit of our future generations, particularly important in a rural county where we are the only museum and repository with paid staff and the institutional backing of a larger organization, our nonprofit county library system. Our current home in Montrose was completed in 1907. Today, that building is a centerpiece of the National Register-listed Montrose Historic District and houses artifacts from our first settlers, the Native Americans, early settlers, including Revolutionary War soldiers, and other residents who helped shape the county, state, and nation. In our museum, visitors discovered varied county items from Civil War uniforms to the barber shop of a beloved local barber, art by nationally known and local artists, from Emma Milan's remarkable mid-century wood carvings to a 9-year-old's first sampler completed in 1822, as well as thousands of family history files, photographs, and other records preserved to tell the accomplishments and trials of Susquehanna County people. In 2021, Montrose was named the #1 Pennsylvania town to make you feel like you were in a Hallmark Christmas movie. Located on the town's central green, the Society is a highlight for many visitors who travel to one of the town's many festivals. A revitalized Society building will ensure that we continue to be a centerpiece of town events and a destination for families, researchers, students, seniors, and tourists alike, everyone interested in finding their connection to history. In June, the Society participated in the federally funded Collections Assessment for Preservation program, which included an assessment by a highly recognized historic architect. We learned that our building is in excellent condition, except, as we knew, that the deterioration of its 60-plus windows is compromising the integrity of the building and contents. We will find significant damage to our collection if we do not make historically sensitive corrections soon. The project would rehabilitate and repair our historic divided light old growth wood sash windows using skilled craftspeople who will meet or exceed the Secretary of Interior standards of the treatment of historic properties. The windows are all original to the 1907 construction or 1950 addition and have never received a comprehensive rehabilitation. The $498,000 amount requested is the high estimate from a regional window preservation firm. We currently have an architect under contract to assist us with developing individual window specifications and a phased approach to the work. We have already raised some funds to support the project, and we plan to raise more. At an outreach event this September, a demonstration of the skill and craft of historic window rehabilitation will inform and prepare the public for our larger window project and hopefully raise additional funds. In terms of economic impact, we anticipate the benefits of the effort will be more gradually felt over time. This is consistent with studies by the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission, the National Park Service, and others, which indicate that rehabilitating an historic structure has an economic ripple effect. Benefits such as increased property values, downtown revitalization, tourism activity, and job creation impacting decades and generations to come. We know that appropriate treatment of these historic windows will ensure another century or more of service, which is an excellent return on investment. The Society is committed to being a county leader in historic preservation. Our building is our museum's largest collection object, and appropriate treatment will set a positive example for our residents and amplify the good work of other nearby county heritage sites, such as the Staruka and Martin Creek Viaducts, the Orphan School in Hartford, Dennis Farm, and Center for Anti-Slavery Study. Long-term impact of this restoration will be felt in our ability to continue to be good stewards of the history entrusted to us. We know that our visitors from the county, the Commonwealth, and other parts of the country will have valuable opportunities of family and historic discovery, and we are planning to be preserving Susquehanna County's history at America's 350th anniversary. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for your testimony today, and God bless you, 350th. I don't think I'll be here to preserve that, so, but we'll do our level best to preserve the 250th. Members, any questions? Representative Solomon.
So if you would get the funding and the windows, obviously you would present much better to the public, hopefully welcome in more tourists. What's the plan for 2026? What would you do in and around the building to really welcome people into this new facility?
Montrose has, for the last 150 years, been a strong proponent of 4th of July, and the town just goes crazy. The 100-year-old newspapers talk about how people came by car, by train, and by carriage to celebrate the day. So it would be no small feat to encourage the folks to celebrate. One of the projects that we've already started in Susquehanna, will be our podcast series that we have started locally, that we will be continuing and focusing in on the people of Susquehanna County. Obviously our original settlers who have been there since right after the Revolution, but continuing on through many cultures. So that will be one small part of it.
Is the 2026 prep, is that already in the planning stages for July 4th, 2026?
On the,
I
you
can
can
answer
answer
that.
that, okay?
I happen to be a member of the Lions Club. The Lions and the Kiwanis in the town are the ones that run the July 4th parade every year. And we are already talking about 2026. We tend to plan a year out, but in this case we're doing it a little early. I'll actually be the president of the Lions Club in 2026, so I can tell you right now that we will make it a key focus of what we do. Our town of 1,100 people gets 15,000, sometimes 17,000 people for the 4th of July on one day. It is centered on the green in the town, and the Historical Society faces that green. We have already seen, just in some of the work that Bonnie's done as a new curator, bringing in a 20 to 25% increase in visitors just over the last 6 months. So we see this, it's a tricky one, we understand, windows in the building, but we are the guardians of our past. And without the support of you all or others, we've worked on raising some funding. We feel that we can't adequately move forward to continue to safeguard that history for another 100 or 150 or 200 years.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Representative Solomon. Representative Coffer.
Thank you for your testimony today. And as you know, I know you guys are quite an active society up there in Susquehanna County, and a number of events that you guys do up there. You were talking about some of the events you have planning beyond July 4th. Can you comment on some of the other programs that you do up in Susquehanna County?
Yes, some of the other programs that we're doing, currently we're doing a monthly fireside chat where local, maybe not experts, but those that have some expertise in some kind of portion of Susquehanna County have been each month giving a talk in our thing. We just had a quilt event where we celebrated the 200 years of quilts and textiles in our county. It was attended by 150 people. We were hoping for 15. 150 people came through our doors in 2 days to celebrate the craftsmanship and the history of the needlework of primarily women in this county. We're also expanding some of our exhibits to include our Native Americans, our Black Americans, and also the part of the county that doesn't get seen much, and that's Forest City. We have just ignored the anthracite section because they are so far off. So expanding that also will be part. We have also been inviting elementary school children in at our expense to visit the museum, and that's been a wonderful experience for them and for us as well. They just come up with the most wonderful questions and most wonderful observations, and we grow from that too, and so that we can teach other children. So having a wonderful time expanding Susquehanna County's history to children and adults as well.
And thank you for your genealogical records too that you have. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Further questions? Want to thank you very much for your testimony here today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Next up, we have Maureen Sterner, Borough Manager of Jim Thorpe. Come on up. You can go ahead.
Okay. Just have patience with me. I'm not a public speaker. Jim Thorpe is located in the foothills of the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania. While serving as Carbon County's seat, Jim Thorpe is home to 4,507 residents that take pride in their heritage and the traditions of the town. Jim Thorpe is a rural community along the Lehigh River with a historic downtown area. We are very fortunate to live in such a beautiful area that so many visit and enjoy. With this fortune comes challenges. Our infrastructure project is aimed at helping us to meet our largest challenge, which is accommodating all of the traffic, vehicles, pedestrians, bicycles, and keeping everyone, including residents, safe. The historic roadways are as old as the town itself. They were constructed in the time of horse and buggy. Historic downtown sits between two mountains and has very few vacant properties. All are small, which restricts the use. Over the last 5 to 10 years, we have worked with Carbon County, Northeast Pennsylvania Alliance, Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau, and Jim Thorpe Tourism Agency to identify and implement ideas, methods, and concepts to help to accommodate our visitors. We have had great success with some concepts. Those with less success just drive us to reach and try more. Our downtown project of high visibility stamped crosswalks, relocation of crosswalks, ADA curb cut ramps, sidewalk repair replacement, and sidewalk widening will not only improve safety for all types of traffic, it will also improve access for residents and visitors of all abilities. Parking is limited. Ensuring access to our 2 commercial corridors by connector streets is part of this challenge and assists our economic development growth. All improvements will aid traveling emergency service vehicles through the area when necessary. Jim Thorpe is a significant part of the history and development of Carbon County and our country. Founded in 1818, what was once Mock Chunk and East Mock Chunk merged in 1954 and was renamed Jim Thorpe to honor a distinguished Native American athlete, some say the greatest athlete of all times. Rich in coal history that began with canal shipping and replaced by railroad shipping, Jim Thorpe became an anthracite coal shipping center. Lehigh Coal and Navigation built the Lehigh and Susquehanna Gravity Railroad. The Lehigh Coal and Navigation building remains today as a low-income housing center. Asa Packer, you heard a little bit about the mansion earlier, the railroad magnate, philanthropist, associate judge of Carbon County, member of the PA House of Representatives, and founder of both Lehigh University in Bethlehem and St. Luke's Health System's original hospital in Fountain Hill, Pennsylvania, called Jim Thorpe home. Jim Thorpe architecture is comprised of many 19th century styles. Many buildings have been restored to their original splendor. Included in this architecture is Asa Packer's Italianate Villa, a huge tourist destination. The mansion, as we call the park where it is located, is on the National Register of Historic Places and has been designated a historic landmark located in our Old Mock Chunk Historic District. Sometimes called the Switzerland of America, with our cozy inns and alpine splendor, we welcome visitors from all over. What was a very busy tourism industry exploded with the onset of COVID. Our population of 4,507 people grows to an average of 59,044 during our peak tourist month of October. The natural resources, Victorian beauty, eclectic culture, and year-round activities attracts thousands of visitors each year. Our lure is our vintage architecture with quaint shops and many galleries offering varied mediums of artistic expression. Recreation such as hiking, biking, whitewater rafting, paintball, and skirmish continue to grow. Add to these the railroad. Railroad trips from surrounding communities bring thousands of people each weekend, in addition to scenic railroad rides and, most recently, restored steam engine expeditions. Assistance with this project will bring us one more means to increase the safety for all who live, work, and visit Jim Thorpe. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, questions for Ms. Sterner? Representative Paszynski.
It was a pleasure hearing your testimony, and again, it's amazing what less than 5,000 people can do.
Yes.
I mean that sincerely. I obviously have visited Jim Thorpe several times, and the work that you all do is absolutely terrific. I have nothing but compliments, so thank you.
Can you give us an idea of how many tourists you see in Jim Thorpe in a year?
In a year, I think it comes out to about 250,000 a year.
And do you have a
That's about the
sense?
average.
Do you have a sense of where those folks come from?
They come from all over. We actually had quite a few people come during COVID. They have not yet left. They're still there. Just recently, Senator Orgel had a contingent from Germany that he brought to the borough, and I think they may have visited the mansion too. So they really do come from everywhere. And when I go to county, chamber, state events, even the State Association of Borough Conference, whenever you mention Jim Thorpe, so they've all been there. They love Jim Thorpe. They all go there. So.
Well, Senator Argel shared that that delegation that he brought up there were very impressed. So thank you. Thank you very much for your testimony here today.
Thank you.
Would now like to welcome Stephen Adams from Damascus Township to testify. And Mr. Adams, you may begin your testimony when you're ready.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Adams, and I'm one of 3 township supervisors for Damascus Township, and I will be giving testimony for the America250PA grant. Damascus Township is one of the oldest townships in the U.S., established in 1798. It is the largest in Wayne County. Damascus was a setting for many significant historic events, starting with the first settlement at Cushatunk along the Delaware River in 1755. At that time, there was a dispute because King Charles II had granted a charter to Connecticut in 1662, and in 1681 had granted a charter to William Penn, and the boundaries overlapped. There is at least one Revolutionary War veteran buried in a Milanville Cemetery in Damascus Township. His name is Deliverance Adams, to which there are living descendants living in the township, and then there is a Revolutionary War monument in Honesdale that lists his name, and I am a direct descendant. The proposed project is a new office building, it's part of our complex, that would be a testament to the vitality and the adaptability of the people of Damascus Township. When this opportunity presented itself, we decided to apply. In 2016, the supervisors decided to embark on a master plan to develop a municipal complex that would improve the facilities as we were outgrowing our existing complex. The board, with several community members, discussed what we needed to do to keep up with the times. We asked several questions. Why would someone or a business want to locate in our area? What do we have to offer? What can the township offer? What are the positive and negative effects of the area? First, we have an exceptional school district. Damascus Elementary School, although public, is like a private school with great teachers and small classes. The township is located between 2 and 3 hours from New York City, Philadelphia, Hartford, Connecticut, Harrisburg, and Binghamton, New York. We are close to 3 major interstate roads: New York 17, Interstate 81, and PA Interstate 84. We have 3-phase electric service infrastructure in many parts of the township, as well as a good road system. The Delaware River is a major tourist destination for many people within a 3-hour travel distance. After reviewing many of the aspects, we realized we needed to improve the township facilities. This would improve our area and give our residents and neighboring townships a safe place to bring their kids. This would also be an asset when people are looking for a place to live, to settle, and start a family and a business. When we started, we hired an engineering firm to develop a master plan, and this incorporated into our comprehensive plan, which was updated in 2019. I have a copy of the draft master plan for your review if you wish to look at it. I also included in the packet when I submitted it was there is an actual the plan is in there. That's that one little thing, I think you saw it. In that plan, it includes an office building which is the municipal building, recycling facility, Little League baseball field upgrade, expand a walking trail with scenic overlook, clean and improve an existing pond, boardwalk and dock for pond, playground, amphitheater, tennis courts, pickleball courts, volleyball, a whole list of things here, which obviously it's quite extensive. We have successfully completed the first phase of this project. The new playground and amphitheater have been completed and we have been awarded partial funding for the second phase, which is for the improvements of the Little League field and scenic overlook, which will include handicap access to the trail and overlook. This grant would allow us to design and build a new office building, landscaping, well, septic system, driveway, parking lots for the building, remove the existing office space and in the existing building and allow for more space for the community center. In conclusion, this grant would give us a huge boost in the legacy of the township's future for years to come. We would be able to promote the area for our state as a leader to the country. We greatly appreciate this opportunity to present our application for consideration for this grant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. Questions from members?
We're not related.
That's usually a question.
That is a question that comes in. I never have to spell Joe Adams, so we're not related. But Steve has been a supervisor in Damascus and a large property owner on the river for many, many years. Does a great job. I'm sorry about that. And the current project was partially grant funded. There was an LSA grant, but they do an amazing job with a very rural community and a very large township. So, hats off to you, Steve, and appreciate the application.
Thank you.
Representative Solomon. Thank you, Representative Adams.
What do you envision in terms of the community sort of engagement and welcoming them into the building? I mean, obviously, there's going to be the municipal services, but
Right.
What's the larger vision?
Well, the larger vision is actually, because of the amphitheater and all the things that are already in place, we want this to be the focal point of the township. In order to keep our communities growing, that was basically the whole plan to start with, was what would be a reason for you to come? Why would you want to bring your family and your business to our area? It's nice to have tourists, but they're only there for a few minutes. We need to keep the vitality and obviously the tax base and everything needs to be there. We have and part of it would be the internet and things like that, because that's all coming. But having this space is, how do I want to put it?
Is there going to be like a welcoming center, like a tourism?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
because it's what my vision of it and the town, our supervisor's vision of it is, here's a beautiful space that we can have our meetings in, but also like something like a function like this could be held in. But and then you're looking out and you see the amphitheater and the playground and all the stuff that's out there, ball field, and where we are is beautiful. I mean, you see it here. So it's a perfect location for where, well, actually, there was a lot of thought put in this. And so that's I guess, I don't know how else to put it.
No, that's helpful. No, thank you.
And originally, well, our whole plan is obviously, why would somebody want to come to Damascus? And not only that, the surrounding townships aren't very big, and they don't have a lot. So a lot of people come to our township. Since we put the playground in, which was actually completed last fall, there's kids there all the time now. And we have a pavilion there, and now that's getting booked all the time. My secretary hates it. I mean, when the phone rings, she just kind of goes like this, because it's somebody else booking, because she does township work, but now she's like the coordinator for the pavilion, so it's happening. And we feel that with something like, when this came up, we were like, wow, this could really be good. So we're going to put in.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for your testimony, Mr. Adams.
seeing you. Take care. Trevor Pinho. Did I get it?
Pinto. Very close. And I'm joined today by Sean Ziller, also from the city of Easton.
Grant Administrator, City of Easton. Thank you for being here. Both of you, please
Thank you
provide
for
your
having us.
testimony.
All right, good afternoon. On behalf of Mayor Salvatore J. Pinto Jr., Easton City Council, and our nonprofit partners in this effort, which includes Lafayette College, the DNL National Heritage Corridor, the Siegel Museum, the Carl Cerner Arts Trail, the Historic Easton Cemetery, and the Greater Easton Development Partnership, we thank you for your time this afternoon and for the chance to share with you a bit more about our city. Easton is a revolutionary city. Just this past weekend, we celebrated Heritage Day, which is it commemorates the anniversary of the third public reading of the Declaration of Independence, which took place in Easton Center Square. Alongside Philadelphia and Trenton, we have the distinction of being one of the only cities where it was publicly read aloud within days of its signing. And in addition to this historic event, Easton has been home to many figures who led revolutionary lives before, during, and after the Revolutionary War. So many of these stories, such as Declaration signer George Taylor, or the namesake of Lafayette College, the Marquis de Lafayette, has come up a couple times today, have been frequently told, obviously, whereas others have been undertold or untold entirely. We are here proposing an opportunity to share these stories, not just within our oldest and most historic downtown neighborhood, but also within residents of the city's 4 diverse neighborhoods and the many visitors who come to our city to learn, to work, and to play. We're proposing to create an interactive art installation that will help residents of and visitors to Easton explore the lives of the people who shaped our city, our Commonwealth, and our country. Our proposed project has 2 elements. First, we plan to create stationary, permanent, commemorative markers that will be placed on selected sites related to the individuals or cultures we memorialize. We are intending, along with our nonprofit partners and their historic and artistic expertise, to select 13 important individuals or cultures representing the rich and varied history of our city. These sites would include markers in the shape of the distinctive 8-pointed star on our city's flag, which may itself have been an early draft of our nation's flag. These markers would also include a plaque describing the individual or culture being honored and a QR code directing to a website with an audio version of the biographical information alongside a voice-acted first-person vignette. Our committee felt that these sorts of markers are important to commemorate sites, but they're limited by their tendency to sort of blend in with the streetscape and their likelihood of being mainly placed in one particular district, our historic downtown, rather than being spread evenly among the city's 4 neighborhoods. To that end, we're hoping to create something truly memorable that can be shared throughout the city. The second and primary component of our project is to create an interactive, mobile yet permanent art piece that tells the story of the revolutionary individuals and cultures that have called Easton home. These 13 pieces, which would correspond to the 13 stationary sites, are tentatively collectively entitled Sitting with History. And that title describes the interactive nature of our proposed project and is also a nod to the complexities of our own history and the conversations that we're hoping the piece might spark. The mobile nature of these pieces mean that the city, that they can be shared equitably with all of our residents in all neighborhoods, and that rather than becoming background noise at one particular location, they can move and evolve and enrich the many cultural events that are held around the city. We invite you to imagine a collection of benches, swings, and sculptures deployed for events like Heritage Day, Garlic Fest, the 274th opening day of our Farmers Market in 2026, our orientation at Lafayette College, or open house at Paxnosa Elementary School. Visitors can learn about, celebrate, or sort of sit with the stories that have made us who we are today, while also experiencing art and making memories in a fun and interactive way. Like the stationary sites, we intend for these mobile pieces to direct people to the same website where they can hear and read and hear about the city of our history and use the pieces to learn and grow. This proposal is a meaningful and substantial undertaking for our city and for our partners. Although our proposal primarily focuses on the creation of the art, we are also requesting some funds to support the improvement of infrastructure at and surrounding the sites that are critical to the proposal, which would ensure that the sites are aesthetically and logistically fit for installations, as well as being ADA accessible. It's our hope that funds from America250PA will help us create and maintain this mobile yet permanent exhibit and that you all might join us for its debut at the 250th anniversary of our nation's independence and of the reading of the Declaration of Independence in Easton in 2026. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to any questions the committee may have.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, questions? Representative Paszynski.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Do you have any visuals on what the mobile site would look like? Is this a tractor trailer? Is it a van of some sort?
So that's a good question. Our vision of it is that it would be a series of pieces rather than being kind of like one deployable van or mobile, but that they would be managed by our city public works that would be able to move them and store them and install them. But our hope would be that for sort of some of the downtime storage, like in the winter, we would be able to utilize spaces used by our partners, like the Carl Sterner Arts Trail, which is kind of a walking path with art installations on it, or the Siegel Museum, which has some indoor space. With the short turnaround that we were putting this together, we didn't want to venture like a specific model for what they might look like, and kind of mixing, I think, government and art is not always amazing. So we're hoping to sort of use our nonprofit partners to come up with what more specifically it looked like. But our parameters would be that they would be interactive and sort of somewhere where you could sit, or somewhere where you could kind of like somehow interact with the art piece.
Would there be an electronic component to it? There's many facilities that provide, basically like a computer, and it will speak to you. It will tell you the story about a particular object or event.
So our way of kind of building that in our vision is by using a QR code, which is like what you see on restaurants that don't give you paper menus anymore. But where, that way, rather than having to run a utility every time we were setting it up somewhere for the electricity and things that we would need to be able to do that, people could use a phone or a computer to direct themselves towards a site that would have the electronic components that you're talking about.
I got it. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Representative Solomon.
Thanks, Senator. Would these be local artists?
I would hope so, but I don't think I necessarily want to limit it to that.
Yeah, I think ideally our focus would be collaborating with local sculptors, artists of the like. Certainly, if we felt that an element we were looking for wasn't able to be captured with a local artist, we would look regionally, so extending to the Lehigh Valley, but I don't see us necessarily going beyond that.
And we do have some history partnering with local artists for projects like this. And in 2010, we were the host to a National Endowment for the Arts Art Town grant that had a similar collaboration between local artists and sort of like public spaces for installation around the city. So that's something we've done something similar to before, though not quite the scale.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
One question before
Of course.
you go. Is this project scalable? You've got your expenses, physical art, and then the virtual component. Is this something that you believe could be scaled? And do you have any other financial partners that you plan to work with?
I believe it could be scaled in either direction. The most obvious way would be that we picked 13 because it's sort of like 13 colonies, 13
Right.
stars on our flag, things like that. But that could be made to be more if it were very successful, or it could be made to be fewer if funding didn't allow for that. I think it's important to our vision for the project that they be really interesting and compelling pieces, rather than kind of like making sure there would be 13 as an example. In terms of other funding avenues, certainly, with our ability to partner and the timeline between now and when we're hoping to finish it, if we felt like there were gaps in funding, we would be able to go out and look for additional grant funding, or use the fundraising capabilities of our nonprofit partners. Or Lafayette has been very excited about it. They have a $500,000 endowment or something like that, so they could always be a partner too.
No, appreciate that, and feel like you've done a very good job at looking at a wide range of significant individuals from the community.
Thank you.
And that certainly is appreciated. So, thank you very much.
Thank you all
Appreciate
very
the testimony.
Thank you. Denise Dennis, founder, president, CEO of the Dennis Farm Charitable Land Trust. Please come up and provide your testimony. Welcome.
Thank you. Bring my cushion. I have a big title that I'm a little frame. I grew up in Luzerne County.
You what?
I grew up in Luzerne County.
Oh,
Fort
is it?
Myers.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes, my great-grandfather left the farm in 1886 and moved to Wilkes-Barre. First African-American to work in the post office.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll have to get some of that.
I'm just walking Pennsylvania history.
Well, we are very glad that you are here, and you certainly may begin your testimony when you are ready. If you feel more comfortable standing, you are welcome to stand.
I am,
You are a very petite person, yes.
I am. But what did the president of Keystone say last week? I was a small stick of dynamite.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We most certainly can, thank
All right.
you.
Thank you all for inviting me to present my testimony this afternoon. My name is Denise Dennis, and I am founder, president, and CEO of the Dennis Farm Charitable Land Trust. America250PA is forevermore a part of the historic Dennis Farm in Susquehanna County because on June 28th, we unveiled the Commonwealth's first semi-quincentennial bell in a moving ceremony, dedication ceremony on the farm. We are applying for an infrastructure improvements and projects grant in order to restore and reconstruct the 200-year-old farmhouse for use as a museum and interpretive center that, through the history of this free African-American family, will tell the history of the United States and the Northeast Pennsylvania region. Our semi-quincentennial bell overlooks the house from our beautiful new bell terrace, and visitors will see the bell as they enter and exit the house before they begin their tour of the grounds. In 2001, my late aunt and I founded the trust to preserve the farm and the more than 200-year-old 153-acre Dennis Farm, and opened it to the public as an educational, historical, and cultural resource. The farm was originally settled by my 4 times great-grandparents, Prince and Judith Perkins, free African Americans who came to Northeast Pennsylvania from Connecticut in 1793. That part of Pennsylvania was still being fought over by Connecticut and Pennsylvania. Prince Perkins purchased land with money he earned serving for the town of Norwich, Connecticut in the American Revolution. His first property was in Tunkhannock. He subsequently purchased the upper tier of the Dennis Farm. Prince and his son-in-law, Bristol Bud Sampson, served in the 2nd Connecticut Regiment in the Revolutionary War, and both men rest in the Perkins Dennis Cemetery on the farm. The property is named for the Perkins' granddaughter, Angeline Perkins Dennis, and her husband, Henry W. Dennis, also from a free African-American family from New England who came to Northeast Pennsylvania. When Angeline inherited the farm in the 1850s, Henry purchased 100 additional acres. Ever since, the land has been called the Dennis Farm. The family is in the History of Susquehanna County, published in 1873, The History of Brooklyn, PA, published in 1889, and several history books published in the 20th and 21st centuries. The Dennis Farm Charitable Land Trust has had the support of the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Susquehanna County Historical Society, Society of Susquehanna County Department of Planning and Development, and the Brooklyn, PA Historical Society. The farm bears a PHMC marker, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and a selection of our artifacts are in the Smithsonian. And we have an agreement with the Smithsonian that we can borrow back any of our artifacts if they are not on display at the Smithsonian. We also received the Chairman's Award from the National Endowment for the Humanities, and we were able to begin work on the farmhouse with a grant from the National Trust for Historic Preservation's African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund, which is a part of its Saving Places program. We have partnerships with the Endless Mountains Heritage Region, Keystone College, and the Museum of the American Revolution in Philadelphia. EMHR recognizes the Dennis Farms historical and cultural value. I'm going to close now. As a farm that was owned by free African Americans more than 2 centuries ago and remains in the stewardship of the same family, the Dennis Farm is a unique cultural gem. Its history as an African American owned farm in a largely white community where the family lived and thrived as valued neighbors is a positive American story. Thank you again for honoring us with our magnificent semi-quincentennial bell and for inviting me to testify today.
Ms. Dennis, thank you so much for the testimony here today. What an incredible story. And to have that treasure in your family for so long, it truly is inspiring. Members, questions for Ms. Dennis? Representative Solomon.
Thank you, Senator. Can you talk to us more about the museum? What are your plans?
Yes, the packet covers that. I had to make a choice, to fill people in on the history or to talk about all the work that needs to be done on the house. The house, as I said, is about 200, it's been estimated that it's 200 years old. And you can see the evolution of the house in the photographs. In 2011, the roof collapsed and the second floor collapsed in Hurricane Irene. So we had it stabilized. It's being stabilized with what they call a pole barn that was designed by an architect. So we want to rebuild the interior and set it up as a museum, and there's a scheme there for how the museum will be set up. We're not going to recreate it to look like it looked years ago. That's not the idea. The idea is to let people go first to the house and learn the history. And as I said, because my family were among the first people to go to that region north of Wyoming Valley after the Revolution, and because they were in the Revolution, you can tell the history of the United States through the history of this museum. So there's a timeline in your packet. There'll be a mural of the timeline that kind of shows what was going on in the country parallel to what was going on in the family. Also, we will have interactive, just what you described. Somebody will be able to push a button, and one of our ancestors, and either sound like my brother or my first cousin, will say, I'm Prince Perkins, blah, 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 because we want kids to be engaged. We will also have, so I said we can borrow back some of our artifacts, but we also have a lot of artifacts left from the family, including books that go way back, books from the local school, the Oakley Crossing School. We have books that Henry Dennis collected. So we have books, artifacts, farm implements, flatware, three chairs that have been dated to the early 18th century. So we'll have artifacts, books, paintings, vintage photographs, can't think of them, and interactive exhibitions. And you can see the scheme through which they'll go through one part of the house and go through the porch, what was a screened-in porch, that will have glass and will be heated, and heating and air conditioning for the appropriate seasons to add another room of exhibition space. There were 4 bedrooms in the house. 2 of them will be offices, and 2 of them might be there for bedrooms for researchers. Ultimately, we want to have another construction. We'd like to have a digital library and be the repository for information on free blacks in the North between the Revolution and the Civil War. Because no place, we are not in the canon. There has not been enough about free African Americans before the Civil War. 4 generations of our family lived on that farm before the Civil War even began. And they were less than 0.5% of the population. But until I left to go to college. We were in northeastern Pennsylvania until then. So we were on the farm. I'm Susquehanna County. I grew up in Luzerne County, and I live in Philadelphia. So someone once said, I was an editor in New York when I was young, and someone told me once, I have never heard anybody talk about Pennsylvania the way you do. You would think it was California. And I said, what's California got on Pennsylvania?
We agree.
I think the State Department of Tourism would like to hire you with that enthusiasm and your knowledge. Do you know if Pennsylvania has any other type of assets or historical presentations on free African Americans prior to the Civil War?
You know, when we started, I don't know about Pennsylvania, but they told me the National Endowment for the Humanities, after they met with me, they hadn't found any place comparable to our farm in the country. So there were more free African Americans. There was a book that was done by Emerson, Moss, and Wilkes-Barre a number of years ago. We're in it, Free African Americans in Wyoming Valley. There's a book that was put out in Montrose by the Anti-Slavery Society a number of years ago called A Place Called Home. We're in all of those books, by the way. There's a book that was published in Susquehanna County by the Susquehanna County Historical Society by Edelman, I think it is, and it's called Free African Americans in Susquehanna County, Waiting on the Lord. Waiting on the Lord. We're in that book too. I don't know. I think someone out in Pittsburgh wrote a book that we're not in, but I don't think anyone has really studied. I know, it sounds ridiculous. I wrote a letter to that man. As Cassandra, I do write letters, don't I?
You
No, but there really hasn't. And the college I went to when I started this, I went to Swarthmore College right outside of Philadelphia, and in 2001 we were setting this up. You know, they had someone meet with me from the history department. She said there's nothing in the canon right now on this subject. Now, that was 20 years ago. But it's overlooked, and I think, given all that we're going through right now in this country, the divisions among us, if ever there's a time to get stories like this out. I mean, when I tell people that my family was from Northeast Pennsylvania way back when, people literally say, but there are no black people up there. And I say, unless I'm not black, they were there. We were everywhere, believe me. I just finished a book on, did you get your copy?
I did not yet.
I'm going to send one for Jim.
Thank you.
Okay? I just finished a book on Bristol Bud Sampson, one of my great-grandparents' son-in-law, who was buried on the farm, who was in the Revolution. I got his pension file from the National Archives. Nobody knew about him. He's a great story. So this is the time that these stories are coming out. And I don't know if anybody has done the research in Pennsylvania. I've been doing it. One of the first places I called, giving a shout out to Susquehanna County, in 1988, I called Betty Smith, who was in the Curator, and said, you know, I have family documents, but do you have anything? And she sent me a whole packet of information about my family. So I cheer all of the local historical societies. Now when people say, how can I do this? I say, start local, because that's where they're going to have the information. That's where I got the information about our family in Massachusetts and Connecticut too. But I'm a PA girl, and I'm doing this, listen, I'm old now. And you know, I'm the, what is it, creating the shade for the young. I'm the old person who's trying to get all this done before I leave. And to leave something, a legacy behind of a history. Starts in Wyoming Valley. I was the only African-American girl in my elementary school. In my graduating class of 300, there were 6 African-Americans. 2 of my friends from Myers, who were both blonde cheerleaders, came to the event at the farm last week. I've spent my life trying to bring people together because I knew it was possible. And the story of the farm definitely brings people together. Some won't want to hear this story. Some won't want to believe it. But for those who have ears to hear, it's a great story and a great story for Pennsylvania. And as far as we know, it's not only unique to Pennsylvania, it's unique to is on to Northeast Pennsylvania. So I'm going to stop now.
Well,
This time.
Your enthusiasm is contagious, and
Like a disease.
I think it's wonderful, and looking for those unique treasures. There are clearly so many unique treasures here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Grateful for your testimony. Grateful for all of these wonderful people who have testified here today. As I have shared on numerous occasions. The challenge for us will be funding each and every worthy project. And even if the America250PA Infrastructure Committee is not able to fund it, I can tell you that your testimony here today was most worthwhile, because there are other state senators, state representatives across the Commonwealth who will receive this information, and again, so many of them are worthy of being funded, even if we are not able to do it through this initiative. And getting that testimony on the record will hopefully make that happen. With that, I would like to turn it over to colleagues for closing remarks.
Thank you, Senator. Thanks so much for your thoughtful testimony. The Senator has promised to fund all your projects, so we're all done here. This was really helpful. We're going to do two more tours, one more tour once we're done this one around the Commonwealth, and we will take into consideration all your testimony, all your proposals, and the hope is, as the Senator mentioned, that we find resources for some of these projects, because we're trying to engage every single nook and cranny of the Commonwealth. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Representative Solomon. Representative Paszynski.
Thank you very much, Senator, and to all of you that presented today, thank you so much. This is not going to be an easy job, trying to select and reward all of your hard work. The one thing in government that I have this smile on my face, there's never enough money for all the need out there. And to try to be able to come up with the evidence to demonstrate who the awards will be extremely difficult. And I can tell you, it's going to create a lot of sleepless nights for us trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And then, of course, the other thing is, how much money will we have? And that's another concern that will also determine what we're going to be able to do. But nevertheless, the history is incredible. All of your energy and your work that you put into this, we greatly appreciate, and we will do our very best to be fair and just as we go forward. Thank you.
Director Coleman, any final thoughts?
I just want to thank everybody for your testimony. And again, I encourage you to look up some of our programs and projects that are here in the region. And again, we are just so thrilled to be creating these partnerships to truly engage every Pennsylvanian in every county in anticipation of 2026. And we're thrilled that you decided to join us and become a part of history through this initiative. So thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you to all the testifiers, to all of the members who participated, the volunteers, and of course, Silver Birches for this lovely venue for today's hearing. Our next public hearing of this committee is scheduled for Thursday, July 27th in Dauphin County. And you can always follow along virtually. Or you're welcome to come on down to Dauphin and join us again. So with that, I will now recess the committee until the call of the chairs. Thank you again.